Welcome back to Living by Design with
Danette.
And I am Scott. And today we are honored to have some world-changing powerhouses to talk to. Welcome Price and Maya, the creators of Alkemis Paint.
We're so happy you guys are here. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having us.
So happy to be here as well.
So I love a good origin story, and I know that Alkemis Paint being so unique has got to have a great one. Talk to us about how this came to be.
Sure, I'll take that one. This is Maya, and just by way of a quick background, my mom was a decorative artist painter when I was growing up, and like any teenager, I chose to rebel and go into finance after college. But it was the pandemic, and I've always been a conscious consumer. I care a lot about what I'm putting in and on my body. And I was taking art classes after work for an active meditation, and the school shut down. So I was looking for a creative project to do inside of my apartment. I live in Manhattan. I live in 450 square feet. And so I thought about repainting my space. And I went to a local hardware store. I was wearing an N95 mask, and I asked the hardware attendant where the healthy paint section is. They pointed me to a VOC area, low VOC or zero VOC area, but I still could smell that familiar paint smell. And I was curious as to why is it that paint smells so bad. I knew that if I purchased this product, I was going to not really be able to do anything with it because I couldn't leave my apartment at the time, and I have about 10 neighbors on my floor. So I started doing a little bit of research, and it was very easy to see that 95% of the paint that we use globally is acrylic latex paint, which I knew was derived from fossil fuels. And it hit me that we're painting our walls with plastic. And as somebody that is shopping for organic food and is using clean skincare and is optimizing for not having plastics inside of my space in all of these different ways, I couldn't believe that this was something that nobody was talking about. And so by a stroke of luck, I then went to a wellness retreat a couple months later and met Price. And I'll let Price share her background, but I mentioned this to her, and that was really how Alchemist Paint was born.
Yes, so to take the baton from Maya, my background has been in art and design my whole life. So I've worked in the art world, I've worked in the furniture world, I've worked in interiors, I've worked in hospitality, and went to the Rhode Island School of Design and Parsons School of Design, and have been a pretty hardcore naturopath and very interested in holistic practices since I was very young. And this is something that Maya and I really bonded on, along with environment excuse me, environmentalism and our love of art and design. And Maya started presenting these questions to me, these kind of tough questions, like, did you know that we're painting our walls with plastic? And so again, as someone who has worked in this space and as someone who cares about the environment and cares about human health, I was pretty shocked at the facts and figures that she was presenting to me. So it was a real light bulb moment. And that kind of, as they say, the rest is history. And we joined forces, and we really felt like we identified a hole in the market because there wasn't a product out there that both of us as conscientious consumers would like to purchase, as far as architectural paint goes.
Yeah. So why the name Alchemist? How did that come about?
Well, it came about for a number of reasons. I mean, I think first and foremost, talking a little bit about the nature of the materials that make up Alchemist paint. So when we just uncovered this hole in the market, there obviously were a number of steps from an R&D perspective on how to create a healthier paint. And though obviously now we're 2 years in, transparently it took us about 3.5 years to really understand the paint market, do feasibility analysis, do the R&D, do the formulation in order to get to a place where we were able to develop what is really a ancient paint making practice overlaid with modern technology and a mineral based formula, which leverages some of these ancient paint making practices. And so the product itself is comprised mostly of the minerals that make up the crust of the earth and all natural pigments. And, as a function of that, Price and I are both, believers in all different types of holistic forms of medicine, including the natural vibrations of crystals and mineral pigments. And so, in a way, we felt like this was our opportunity to alchemize interior spaces by leveraging Mother Nature, to really bring people closer to how we've always lived, which is, in concert with nature as opposed to against it. And so, that was part of why we really liked the word alchemy. And we just decided to add our little bit of a twist to it by, it is technically the Swedish spelling of alchemy, and then we made it Miss, for no specific reason other than it sounded cool.
Yeah. Danette, why don't you share about the energy of the bedroom we just painted with Alkemis Paint?
Yes, this is what I've
Speaking of
been
that
wanting
same thing.
to share with you guys. This was so exciting. So, the walls on the bedroom, one set of walls, two sets of walls were chalkboard black paint. And then the rest of the walls were just gray.
Just a typical
Just
latex
typical.
paint.
Yeah. So anyway, we apply the Alchemist paint and we get it all done and step out of the room, clean up, and come back into the room. And it's just like, because now you're resting for number one, you're not working anymore. You just get to absorb the beauty of it. And it's like, wow, this feels so airy and so light. And it was just really, really, really cool. But what was really great, because you just feel good in it. But what was really great was we had not chosen to paint the closet at that time. And so when you stand in the room with your eyes closed, you can feel the energy, right? And then when you walk over into the closet, keeping your eyes closed and stay in the closet, so that way you don't know, the difference. What happens is you suddenly feel like you're in murky gray waters versus being in the room with the Alchemist paint. And there's such a huge energetic difference. It's unbelievable. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't be the only one that feels this. And so we had some friends come over, two different friends, two different times, and brought them both and had them do the experiment with the eyes closed, standing in the room, then going into the closet and then stepping back into the room. And they were just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so it was just really, really, really wonderful. And the energy is just, it's very high vibrational. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that
Thank
means
you
so
so
much.
much.
Yeah, it's really,
Music
it's
to our
really
ears, Danette.
It's really great.
Yeah. And
Well,
go ahead.
I would like to say that it's interesting that you had that experience in that, because we don't always know if people are as attuned or as sensitive to it as we are. But we have had a couple of different experiences where we've had clients. We did a collaboration with a company called Abask. That's kind of like a first dibs. They're based in the UK. They did a pop up with R and Company, which is a client of ours, and they picked this really beautiful color, our Pachamama green, to paint their space. And every single one of those salespeople who don't know anything about Alchemist paint, other than the color is obviously stunning, but they all said they felt really grounded inside of the space, and they didn't know the significance of that. And so, of course, our and Company, had mentioned that it's ironic that they feel that way, considering the fact that they are actually surrounded by Mother Earth. So anything that we can do to help people feel more grounded in their spaces and more high vibrational is truly an honor to be able to participate in making people feel better inside of their spaces.
Well, you did accomplish that because you do feel very grounded. You feel very peaceful, which is so perfect for a 13-year-old, right? They need to be able to be grounded and be a little bit more steady. And so you guys did a great job with that. It's just so phenomenal. And I'm almost tempted to not paint the closet now because I want other people to come in and experience it. So that way they can taste and see, on a personal level, because you can talk about it, but then when you feel it energetically, it's just mind blowing. And so now I've got several people who want to. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to paint every wall in my house with this." I'm like, "Good, that's what we want."
Oh, great.
I know, I'm really
Thanks for
excited.
spreading the good word. You're like,
Yes.
you've created a little case study there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying because I want to take this to the yoga studios and wellness centers and things like that. And it would be great if I could get them to taste and see, so to speak, the difference in the paint from one room to another. And so I think, once they experience that, it sells itself.
Yeah, absolutely. There are layers to healthy homes,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely air quality and paint. And, you could create a perfect box, but then it's what we bring into that box that's probably doing our own demise, whether it is the cosmetics or the polyesters or all these fabrics that aren't from origin. They're our creation, and we thought we were doing something better by making things more affordable, faster, easier, but then that's not always what's good for us.
Exactly.
And so part of this equation, this paint, and when I heard it, and I can't remember what podcast it was that I heard you guys on, and I said, wow, that's amazing. And I said, we've got to get our hands on this because we are about intentional design.
I was so excited when Scott brought it to us because I was just like, oh my gosh, a paint that's painted that uses crystals, because I'm totally into frequency and energy and love anything that supports the human body so you can feel grounded and more at peace and also, uplifted at the same time, which is what it does. And so
Exactly.
I was super, super excited.
Now, there are people that don't necessarily buy into crystals and energy. And there's
They don't have to buy into it, but you can feel the difference.
You're right. You're right.
Even if they don't want to believe it, it doesn't matter. You can feel it.
This is true. And there is a lot of talk, though, about building high performance homes. And one of those elements is allowing walls to breathe. And
Yes.
when we close those walls off with the latex acrylic paints, we're essentially encapsulating the moisture in that wall cavity. And so what I loved about this concept is it is vapor permeable. It is vapor open. And if you use
Exactly.
your primer and paint, in a sense, we're actually designed forward to passive house concepts where we have a super tight house, but we're not just breathing from the outside. We're allowing that wall to dry, the dryability of the wall, to the inside. So have you heard many builders, we talk often about aesthetics and design and beauty, but there's a whole functional component to this product. Have you seen traction in the area of performance and high performance homes?
Absolutely. And we work closely with a lot of building biologists. We also have a lot of families who come to us after they've had, mold, and they're doing everything in their power to renovate and rebuild in a way where they won't experience that again. And so, to your point, one of the main reasons why we get mold in our homes is because we are creating these vapor impermeable spaces, right? And so you have both on the interior and exterior, we are closing off the substrates with whatever different types of substances, whether it's latex acrylic paint or siding or types of insulation and so on and so forth. And so if you have condensation, then it gets stuck in between those those spaces and forms mold, and then it really has nowhere to go. And so oftentimes you'll see water trying to escape, and you'll get bubbling, you'll get blistering, on the interior. And so, to your point, creating this vapor permeable, this breathable home and space, which is part of a much larger conversation,
Yeah.
as you know, being a designer and builder, is to really and also to really instigate these conversations with people and to think about, yes, it's really important to use a vapor permeable paint and primer, but then what are the rest of those layers behind that within your home, and what are those materials made out of, and how are they affecting our health, as well as the durability and performance of the home as a whole, or the commercial space as a whole. And we believe this is really about, kind of coming back to being connected to nature and using natural materials and harnessing the durability and performance aspects of those types of things that have been used for hundreds of years to, create a more efficient space at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we know someone whose health just completely declined severely because of mold in the home, and she had to move out of the home because they couldn't get rid of it because of exactly what you're talking about. So they just needed to completely tear everything down and start all over. It's really important. A lot of people don't realize how easily, mold can build up. So it's a really big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and how pervasive it is,
Yes.
actually. It's pretty wild. And then just from also the performance and durability, additional attributes are that the fact that the paint is, class A fire resistant. It is totally non-flammable, non-combustible. It will never burn. You can put a flame up to it because rocks don't burn. And it has a high pH. And to your point about drying, so it's great, and moisture absorption. So, Danette, you were talking about yoga studios, gyms, anywhere where it might be a little bit of like a moist environment. Actually, the moisture in the air, you'll never get the beading or the condensation on top of the paint. It actually absorbs the water, and the water just evaporates.
Yep.
Like a rock in nature after a rain.
That's really
So
awesome.
it's so wonderful.
A quote that I think about a lot is we had the great pleasure of meeting Darren Oline, and he had mentioned to us that when you work in concert with nature, there's just so many benefits, even beyond what it is that you imagine. We've developed more and more information and did more and more studies around Alkemis Paint. One of the things that we discovered was we knew that the nature of minerals and lime washes, as an example, is that they clean air as they're drying. They actually absorb carbon dioxide to dry. But we were able to discover that by using just 1 gallon of Alkemis paint, talking about indoor air quality, it will absorb as much carbon dioxide as 9 trees in one day while it's curing. And so, of course, there's the fire resistance, there's the natural mold resistance, there's the vapor permeability, there's the durability. Our paint will never fade because it's made out of minerals and mineral pigments. It actually cleans the air, which is quite literally the opposite of what conventional paints
Which
do.
that's astounding. That really is really
What?
cool. That's astounding. That's
Yeah.
super cool. That technology there. I love that.
I mean, it's nature, and we like to say nature is obviously the smartest scientist and the most incredible artist. And, it just continues to show all of the benefits of working in concert with nature. And we're so honored to, at least help inspire people to think about different ways that you can do that within the built environment, because we used to live in caves. So
Yeah,
it makes all the
absolutely.
sense.
That is so true. That is so true. So we both love color psychology, and Danette is a certified true color expert. So
Mhm.
ask them about their color palettes.
Yeah. So I know you guys said you can create any color we need, right?
Almost.
Okay, almost. But
Yeah.
so how did you come up with what you already have? Was it just like these are some of your favorite colors and what you've used Is that what you did? Some of your favorite colors and just what people came to you and asked for? And how do you go about creating new colors?
So yeah, I would say it was a combination of a number of things, right? We had an idea of an approximate number of how many colors we wanted in our palette, and so I started big, right? And I went through all of my favorite colors. Also, just market research, like what are the popular colors, what are the best selling colors across the board, throughout the world, and try to strike a balance between being cutting edge as well as having kind of classic things that will really stand the test of time. And I mean, we're not interested in being trendy. We're interested in pushing the conversation. But so yeah, and then also getting trusted designers, architects, friends, families input as well. And if you were buying an all natural paint, like what colors would you want to see? And so I think there were around 200 and maybe 250 colors. And so as you all know, the magic is in the editing. So then it was just editing down, editing down,
Mhm.
editing down, editing down to a comprehensive palette that felt really good and cohesive, and like we were hitting all the notes, but that also we could add additional color collections down the road. And yeah, so that's really how we went about it, and then just had fun naming the colors. And yeah, again, just getting people's input who we trusted when we were creating the collection.
So your colorants aren't acrylic additives like traditional paint store. So how do you
Correct.
get these variations? So if I say, "Oh, I love that flower, beautiful,
All about flowers?
all about flowers,
Nothing,
but I need
nothing
Nothing
but
but
the
flowers.
flowers.
nothing but flowers, but I need the tone to be a little darker." How do you go about making that happen? What are you adding or to that?
So you want to talk about the only using mineral pigments,
Yeah,
Maya?
yeah, like
Yeah.
is that what it is?
Well,
Mineral pigments is what you're doing?
Yes.
Because
yes, so these are the same ochres, oxides, mineral pigments that we've been using literally since the Blombos caves. So all of our raw materials come from a 250-mile radius of the Italian, Austrian Dolomites. I mean, Alps, excuse me, but that's inclusive of the Dolomites. I was just there. Um, and these natural pigments, they have incredible lasting ability, from the standpoint of talking about durability. I mean, there's evidence of these pigments being used as much as hundreds of thousands of years ago. And so, yeah, we use 10 natural pigments, and they make up all of the colors in our palette, and various formulas and weights. And so, um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much that straightforward. When it comes to adjusting colors and things of that nature, when we do, this is just as an FYI for customers, when we do custom color matching, we do need a standard. We can't work off of, because we have such exacting color standards. The way that we do color matching or custom colors is we need to work off of a physical standard, which will shoot with our color matching system, and it will spit out a specific formula that's aligned to the mineral pigments that we use. And so, so yeah, it's really been a pleasure. Obviously, Price went to the best art school in the entire world, arguably. So she has a really good handle on color theory, and we both love color so much. I mean, I would say that it's probably how I view the world. I love to look at sunsets because for me, I see 10,000 different colors. But it is all about the editing and making it accessible and easy for people to pick something that they love, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed by thousands and thousands of options. So,
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then also to Danette's point, um, just working on developing these colors and creating them together with the mineral pigments, we can achieve a lot of hues but we are slightly limited. So you're not going to get a neon color with Alchemist, or a Barbie pink or something, just because there are some limitations of what you can get with the mineral pigments. And they're wild to work with, because when you look at them, you could say like, oh, we have a really, super bright red, and we have a really crazy, ultramarine blue, which we call lazurite. And you would think, all right, well, if I mix them together, I'm going to get a bright purple, but it's not how it works. They go brown really quickly.
Yeah.
So there are some nuances with mixing them that are quite different than how you would mix synthetic pigments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. So I was going to have you guys mix a, robin egg blue, which I think would be really pretty. So I want to talk to you guys about that later, but I think it'd be
Yes,
really fun
please
because,
send us.
huh?
Please send us whichever, if you want to do a brush out, or if you have another, and you can send us a piece of fabric. I mean, anything, and we can scan that
I have this
color
room.
standard.
Sorry, I have this room that I painted years ago, of course, with Sherwin-Williams paint, and I actually took in. I had found a robin's egg. And so I took in part of the shell and I said, hey, match this. And so if I could figure out like how to get another close color to that, I'd be like, okay, you guys, send it to you and be like, match this, because it's so pretty. And I just can't even imagine how amazing it would look and feel having all the natural minerals in it and the crystals. I just think it would just be amazing. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Great.
So I have a question. So I was going to ask you, how do you guys go about when your paint arrives? I was very impressed with the packaging. You guys do a great job packaging your paint, considering you have to ship it to wherever you're shipping it to. And can you talk to me about your packaging and your process with that and sustainability around any of that? It was so well packed. I was very, very, very impressed how you guys did that. I was so curious before we got the paint to see, okay, how are they going to ship this? What is this going to be like? And it was really great. The lid to the can was very secure. And then you had all the additional, I don't know if it wasn't really cardboard. I'm not sure what it is, but to hold everything in perfect place so there's no chance that anything can spill or get damaged or anything. It was really great. Good job on packaging.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a bit of trial and error in figuring out how to really get it
Definitely.
right. The paint, by virtue of it being mineral based, she's a heavy girl. We like to say, each gallon is about 14 pounds, and the conventional paints are roughly 7. And so we also really work hard to optimize for as much sustainability as we can as it relates to the cans being made out of stainless steel. The 3.5 gallon cans, they are made out of 90% recycled plastic, but that was just because it's really, really challenging to find something that's over the size of a gallon. There hasn't been much innovation in the paint industry as it relates to containers. And so that was the only option that we had. But we really, stick to our guns as it relates to the stainless steel because it's infinitely recyclable. But it does dent when it's being sent. So yeah, we developed a system where we put the collars on top and we make sure that the boxes are perfect for the size of the cans, but believe you me, it took a while for us to figure out the formula. So thank you, Danette. That's very sweet. We
And
also,
I don't
on
know.
occasion,
Oh yeah,
will
go
use
ahead.
compostable packing peanuts that you can just put under water and they disintegrate. And part of the process is we want people to, I'm sure you got the beautiful card that was designed by Price, just welcoming you to the family and the community. We really like to create community. We're so lucky to be considered part of this broader healthy materials and building biology community that's been around for so long. And it brings us so much joy to meet people who have been really advocating for this for years and years, because this is a message that everyone should be paying attention to. 35% of our carbon footprint comes from building all around the world. It's a huge problem for our environment. So the fact that we can be a small part of making that better and making our planet healthier is something that gives us purpose every single day, and we're very proud of.
I
Yeah,
love
and
the
I was
fact
just
Yeah.
gonna
that.
add
Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
those
Price.
those steel choosing the steel paint containers. So steel, I mean, it's almost infinitely recyclable. It has it's almost 80, it's like 88% recyclability, and so it can just keep being
Mhm.
recycled on and on and on. So that was a very conscious decision. And to Maya's point, like we're very interested in pursuing innovative packaging options down the road as well. But for now, everything is recyclable.
I think you guys did a great job. And I love the fact that, a lot of paints do not pour them on the ground. What happens is eventually that winds up into our water systems and everything else, all those toxic chemicals and everything. And so that's really wonderful that, you spill this paint on the ground and it's just rocks and minerals going into the earth, so it's really great.
So there is a lot of in the build space. Lots of people talk about green this, no VOC. It's the buzzword. It's almost marketing capital. So how can you explain that your products really are designed green and it's not just marketing? Like what is the truth compared to the myths that you see all everywhere?
Great question.
um, I we will talk about paint at a high level. We really work hard not to, disparage anybody. But acrylic latex is derived from fossil fuels. So you can be as low VOC as you want. But at the end of the day, if you're an acrylic latex paint, at least in the modern world that we live in, you are a very high percentage of a derivative that comes from fossil fuels, which is obviously, very very intensive on the environment, very carbon intensive to extract from the earth. And then there's a number of additional refining processes that need to happen in order to turn it into the product on your wall. The concept of what a VOC is also very misunderstood. The EPA will, at least up until recently, I don't know what's going on with the EPA lately, but the EPA will explicitly say that VOCs are a measure of smog forming ability. So it has to do with their impact to the ozone layer. It doesn't have to do with human health or environment, I mean, outside of the ozone layer, or with a lot of aspects of environmental health. So you can have zero VOC paints, which even the concept of being zero VOC is misunderstood. You can have up to, I believe it's 10 grams per liter of VOCs and still be able to label something as zero VOC. Not to mention essential oils are VOCs. Water is even a VOC. And so, because it leaves the product as it's drying. And so things like PFAS, endocrine disrupting chemicals, carcinogens, biocides, fungicides, those are actually not VOCs. At least a number of them are not. And so you can have a zero VOC paint. You can have a US based green seal, which will mean not exactly what you think it means, like Green Guard Gold as an example. By all means, I everyone should be going for any type of third party certification that helps contribute to the health of a product. But just for context, they measure 360 chemicals, VOCs that are leaving a product after it's already been produced. We are really proud to be one of the only paints in North America which are cradle to cradle certified. And for context, cradle to cradle is a global certification that's based upon 5 pillars of circularity. Material health being one of the main components, where they will test for 10,000 chemicals, which are known on a global basis to cause human and environmental harm. And so the comprehensive nature of cradle to cradle, and then they assess for how you're creating your product, what is its end of life, how are the people and the every aspect of your supply chain, how is that evaluated, how are you treating people, what is your water and soil stewardship. So every part of the puzzle that affects human health, the vibration of a product, arguably, and certainly the ingredients and how it's made and how it's consumed are taken into consideration when it comes to cradle to cradle. And so when we talk about being best in class from a health and environmental standpoint, that's what we're talking about. When it comes to talking about, companies that say that they're low or zero VOC, I think there's a stark differentiation in the difference. And, anybody can say anything they want from a marketing perspective, but it's really about what's in the can, at the end of the day, and how it got
Yeah,
there.
and we encourage people to go look at the safety data sheets. So again, you can have a zero VOC product and you can look up a safety data sheet and it will have Prop 65 warnings because it has known carcinogens. It will have environmental toxins, a whole laundry list of things that people and companies are not required to disclose except for in that format. So much of what we're doing is about, we had to educate ourselves about these matters, and we're constantly learning, but so much of our messaging is really about educating people and just telling them, there are alternatives out there.
There's a better way to paint.
That's right. There's a
Better
way to live.
There
There is.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, we love hearing about, future and what's coming up next. And so I have a question for you. So how do you see your brand evolving over the next 5 years?
Ooh.
I know, just
Well,
throwing it out there at you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely, very interested in product innovation. So continuing to expand our line in all different types of ways. I think the next frontier for us is introducing a plant-based polymer product, which will allow for various sheens, as well as trim and cabinetry and furniture paint, which is, I would say, maybe the biggest sticking point for our customers is they want an end-to-end solution. And Alkemis Paint, as it stands today, is fine for low traffic trim. People use it on doors, even though it's not necessarily recommended. But it be due to the porous nature of the paint, we're just always concerned about greasy hands and fingers, because really the worst thing for the product is you don't want to get like oil on it, because that makes it a little bit more difficult to clean, just due to the porous nature. Something we're really excited about is innovation around plant-based polymers, and introducing products like that, which allow people, because in today's market, people want the health, the environmental benefit, but they also want the convenience of what it is that they have, now. And they really, from a performance perspective, want everything to work like what they're used to with these synthetic products, but have them be good for you and have them be good for the environment. And, we're really committed to best in class, product innovation in that way. So I think continuing to see exciting things of that nature will certainly be on the horizon, as well as cool collaborations, innovative ways of getting people to think about, design and human and environmental health, not needing to be mutually exclusive, and really just continuing to push forward in a category that is ripe for innovation. And so hopefully bringing a lot of different people along with us.
Well, I know we're very proud to be offering Alchemist Paint to our clients and to anyone who is interested in promoting it. because it is such an incredible paint, and you guys have done such a good job. So good job.
Thank
Yeah,
you
we're
so
really
much.
excited to see your journey unfold, and we're part of that journey.
Yes.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
We're so happy to
grateful.
have you guys part of our
Thanks.
journey. Thank
Yes,
you
we
for
want to be a
finding
part
us.
of it. Yep. We look forward to just getting it out there more. I'm so excited about it.
Right on.
So, did you have any other questions?
No, you want to ask them your closing personal question and see what they say?
Yeah. So, just for fun, so we like to ask questions for personal taste, so our listeners can know something, more personal about you guys. So, just for fun, daisies or roses? What's your preference?
You want to start, Maya?
Yeah, I would say roses, but not red ones. I
I
think
would.
yeah, I think red roses are a little generic.
I would agree.
I would also say roses, but yeah, like big, fluffy garden,
Like those
English
English
garden
roses?
roses. Yes, exactly.
Oh, those are so
Oh, wow.
pretty. Yeah, those are really beautiful. I love those roses.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. That's great. And what color, ladies? What color?
Mm,
I like those roses that are multicolored, that like
Oh, wow.
start one color on the outside and then
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
like a bright orange or a bright pink in the middle, and you get this kind of cool gradient.
Those are really pretty. And Maya?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to copy Price, but I'd have to agree. The more colors, the better when it comes to a rose.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maximalist flower arrangements.
Well,
Yeah.
they're just gorgeous the
Yeah.
way they
Pops of
just
color.
fade into one
Yeah.
color goes into another. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And it's really hard to duplicate nature. It's just so beautiful on its own.
Yeah, that is what we try to do.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Well, where can listeners learn more about and get samples, and how can they get in contact with you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
so
on the web, www.alkemis, ALKEMIS, paint.com. And please reach out to us. We look forward to hearing from you. We really pride ourselves in customer service, and any questions that you have, we're here to support anybody every step of the way.
yes, and we also offer our trade program with dedicated trade support. We have an amazing trade sales manager who, again, can help with any specification, any product questions. You get 15% off all purchases. And so that's really, really advantageous for designers, architects, painting contractors, builders, you name it.
We enjoy being a part of your trade program, so thank you.
That's right.
Yes,
It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
thrilled to have you.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, Price and Maya, for taking time to talk to us today. It's really been a privilege. You guys are really awesome. We love the work you're doing and so excited to see what comes next. So thank you so much. And I am Scott,
Thank you all.
and this
I'm
is,
Danette.
and we encourage you to live intentionally by design and not by
default.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
you.